Okay, so in starting new ministries, I think the first thing that comes to mind is the little character on the Life is Good shirts, and a lot of those, their motto behind it is "Do what you like what you do." So when you jump into that in a ministerial context, you really get this notion of ministry is about doing something that you like. God's granted us this gift of ministry, but in the form, in the idea that we're all incredibly unique. So ministry isn't the same to any two people. And it can't be, because it would be boring if it was. So I guess where that kind of goes off of is when you're starting a new church, when you're starting a new ministry. In my perspective, I wasn't setting out to start a new church when we developed Sweaty Sheep 2 years ago. I was just honestly out to have a really good time. It was more of a reprieve for me from seminary and from church, and through that, when you kind of just wear your passions on your sleeve, when you smile a bunch, when you're having fun with what you're doing, you all of a sudden you start a following, which is kind of scary. So yeah, you get this group together behind you, not because you're Presbyterian, not because you're following some certain order and you're going through a church development plan, not because you've gotten a grant and all of a sudden people think you're legitimate, but because you're having fun doing what you're doing. And a lot of times that's where a new church needs to start. You can't just wait for it to happen around you, though. We're finally in the process of going for a couple grants, but we have I hope that everybody would view, we've had an incredibly successful run at it so far. And whether we get a grant or not is not important at this point. What really comes down to is we've had a great time up until here, and even if it failed out tomorrow, we've touched different people in our own unique way. Sweaty Sheep is kind of a two-facet ministry. We started 2 years ago, I guess, with the Louisville Ironman, which is a 140-mile race, and kind of jumped into it going like, these people, they don't have a church on Sunday morning, building-wise. They're out there training. They're out there doing this and doing that. These are the kind of people that you would never catch in a building if the sun's shining, and honestly, probably if it's not shining. And that isn't because they don't want the church. It's because they wanted to kind of do their own thing. The average runner, when asked, or surfer, or hiker, says that that's their church. So we started this group going, how can we make that a reality? How can we really make that church for them instead of trying to convince them that you can do this alongside of a normal everyday church? So that's the first group, is just reaching out to this kind of endorphin-loving, adrenaline junkie society, and making their activity and their passions uniquely their church, and trying to make the churches look at that and say, yeah, that's all right. So we encourage them. We get out and we reach out and we set up different groups and Bible studies and avenues like that. But the second part of that is we serve as a network for our churches at this point, mid-Kentucky, to kind of set them up with play activities. Our motto, we have a twofold motto. The first is recreation through recreation. So we believe so much that our churches they've done great with theology, and they've done great with certain avenues of worship and the hymnals and the this and the that. But what a lot of our churches have forgotten are the recreational activities. And yeah, they'll put that off to the youth groups, or so we had a kickball league was our biggest hit. Just had all our churches competing in kickball. So this idea of kind of a play ministry. A lot of times you hear play therapy. It's that same thing. And then we also implement kind of a healthy living status for our churches. We've released a Couch to 5K devotional series that churches can use the Bible study throughout to grow together in health and in faith. So really reinstituting the body into the body, mind, spirit sort of trinity of sorts. And yeah, hopefully serving as an aid to our local pastors as well in the process. So it's a ministry about partnerships, and really the Presbyterian Church in general is a church of hopefully connectedness, and this is just one way that we can utilize that in a healthy way to grow in new avenues and hit new people. Take the leap. Just absolutely take the leap. Put everything you have into it, because if you don't, you're not held to it. And just, know it's going to be work, but also make sure that it's play. There's a great quote that says, "The true master in the art of living cannot separate their work from their play, their leisure from their religion." And it goes on. But the idea being, like, if you're really going to jump into it, this needs to be your life. It's not your job. It's not easy. But it is fun. So be ready to make this your life, and don't wait for anybody to give you a grant, or don't wait for anybody to give you the okay. Make it exciting, and thrive off causing a stir.